Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Into the Vault, the show where usually we reach back into the Disney vault, pull out a movie, and find out if it was a hidden treasure or if it was locked away for our own good. I'm your host, Garrison MacCraw, and we're going to do something a little different today. Instead of reviewing a piece of media from Disney, I'm actually going to be talking about the slew of announcements that have come out about Disney+. Dozens upon dozens of shows and movies and all sorts of things that are coming out, and a few of them pertain to us and what we do here. A few of the movies that we've talked about, a few movies we've reviewed, some things that I plan on reviewing are kind of getting updates, either reboots, spin-offs, sequels, and a few of them are fairly unexpected to me. Some of them I didn't see coming. A few have been kind of in the works for a while, too, so I think we're going to just dive into all of it, break it down, and spend a little extra time on the things that are, well, Into the Vault worthy. We're going to begin with the Disney Television Studios announcements. A Beauty and the Beast prequel, I believe, starring Luke Evans and Josh Gad, is coming with music composed by Alan Menken, who not only did the original Beauty and the Beast music, but also the live-action remake that this is set in the world in. I like the live-action remake. I don't love it. My main problem is just the unoriginality and a few of the casting choices, none of which seems like it's going to be a problem here, so I'm actually really excited for this. It sounds like it could be really cool. There's also going to be a reimagining of Swiss Family Robinson, a film we reviewed here with Nick Brassel. I'm very curious about this. This isn't the first time they've done Swiss Family Robinson again. In fact, the one we reviewed was a remake of a silent black and white film that Disney did a few years earlier. So the precedent is set. Swiss Family Robinson is, well, no one really talks about it anymore, and, it's not the first time they've rebooted it. Hopefully they incorporate a lot of things from the pre-existing attraction at Disney World, the Swiss Family Treehouse. I hope a lot of those elements stay in there. Maybe we can even get some updates to that attraction to match the reboot if it's well received, and kind of true to the spirit of the original. I'm not over the moon about this, but hey, could be good. Could be good. And of course, the Percy Jackson and the Olympians television show, based on the book series. There's a excellent play, musical, that I saw about it, and I enjoyed the books growing up. The films are not any good at all, and the author, Rick Riordan, is pretty notable for hating the movies, and he's been promoting the show pretty heavily and said he has his hand in it a lot. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be good, but I think it gives me a little bit of faith that it'll be truer to the source material than the other one. We have the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. I think we have a few of the original Mighty Ducks coming back for this one. I actually haven't seen Mighty Ducks in a very, very, very long time, and plan on reviewing it for the show eventually, because there's a lot of cool references at the parks, or at least there used to be. There used to be a couple of cool things for the Mighty Ducks that I want to talk about. And people love the Mighty Ducks. Everyone kind of knows the quack, like that moment. So, yeah, bring it on. A Turner and Hooch remake, it seems, starring Josh Peck. I believe this was a Tom Hanks film about Turner and his dog Hooch. I know very little about it. The original Turner and Hooch is a buddy cop movie. Okay. And it was a Touchstone movie. Tom Hanks did a lot of these Touchstone movies in his early career, like Splash, and this one, which is an offshoot of Disney, but still very much Disney. It was just a label they created, Touchstone, so they could make the types of movies they didn't want under the Disney label while they still got the money from the films. Big Shot says it's a celebration of girl power set in the world of high school basketball, starring John Stamos. Of course, that's who I think of when I think of girl power in high school basketball. So, way to go, John Stamos. Keep the streak going. The Mysterious Benedict Society, based on a book series. I don't know much about it at all. Has Tony Hale. I don't know how to say her name. I feel bad. She's a notable voice actress. You would know her. Kristen Schaal. Skull, I don't know. Notable for being Mabel Pines from Gravity Falls. One of the main ones in Bob's Burgers. She's in BoJack Horseman. And she pops up in pretty much everything for like at least a bit role. Very funny, so I'm excited to see what this is. There's a few things coming to National Geographic. I won't really get into that. Hulu, I won't really get into. Except there's going to be, more American Horror Story stuff. More Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There's going to be an Alien television show, which is pretty cool. In fact, I know it's not really forgotten. I might review an Alien movie for Into the Vault, even though it wasn't Disney when it came out. There's so many connections to Alien in the parks that I think might be beneficial to view one of the weird Alien ones at some point for us. Now, there's all this Lucasfilm stuff, and it's pretty crazy. There's like 10 shows that were announced. There was Obi-Wan, which we already knew about. The factor in there is they're bringing back Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, and apparently the two do meet on screen. As of right now, we all assumed that the last meeting they had was on Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith, right before Obi-Wan's exile, and then they meet again on the Death Star. There's a few lines in Star Wars that kind of hint that Vader and Obi-Wan had seen each other between that time frame, because Vader says something to Luke akin to, Obi-Wan once thought as you did, in reference to turning him back to the light. And that's not something we've ever seen. Now, it could just be a continuity error, but maybe there's a story that we just didn't know about. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who do The Mandalorian, are coming up with Rangers of the New Republic, which sounds awesome, like a fighter pilot probably, or New Republic soldiers policing the galaxy, probably looking for leftover Imperials. Awesome, I'm all about that. I love Rebel stuff no matter what. Ahsoka show is coming with Rosario Dawson reprising a role from The Mandalorian. Amazing, bring it on. I'm all about that. Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars character, so I could not be more excited for a show. Andor, we already knew about this, the Kasnian Andor show. That's been announced a while ago. We know we're getting Kasnian back. We know we're getting K2SO back. It's a prequel to Rogue One. Star Wars The Bad Batch, we already knew about. It's about a group of genetically changed clones that have special skills, and they're gonna go on missions. This is set after the Clone Wars, after Revenge of the Sith, which is very interesting to me, because I'm wondering, we never in Star Wars get to see what happens to the clones after the rise of the Empire. We know they get decommissioned at one point because stormtroopers are humans by the time of New Hope. There's still a few clones left among the ranks, but it's mostly uncommon at that point. So maybe we'll get a little bit of insight into that. Star Wars Visions, which is like a anime thing, which is cool. I would love to see Star Wars in other styles. A Lando show. I'm assuming they're going to bring back Donald Glover for this. I'm betting it's not going to be Billy D. Williams, unless they do a Young Indiana Jones Chronicles style for it, where they have old Billy D in a chair with his cane and big cape, like, let me tell you a story about when I was younger and Donald Glover. And Donald Glover's like, it's me. I'm younger, cool Lando. Even though he's always been cool, I'm still just regular cool Lando. The Acolyte is a film that sounds very interesting to me. It's set in the High Republic era, the end of the High Republic era, which is 600 years before Phantom Menace. And we're going to be exploring mysteries of the dark side in that, and like weird parts of the galaxy, apparently. I'm so down for an era Star Wars we haven't even touched upon. This is based on an upcoming series of books set in this High Republic era that have yet to come out, but there's a lot of artwork for it. It's really cool. We get to see young Yoda, not to be confused with a baby Yoda, which is a whole different thing altogether. Droid Story is apparently an animated C-3PO R2-D2 thing. This is not the first time C-3PO and R2-D2 have had their own animated adventures. There was the Droids show way back when. It was an animated television series about C-3PO and R2-D2 with different owners. Pretty much every episode going against like just bizarre corners of Star Wars universe. That show's no longer canon. It hasn't been for a very long time. It's not even that. It's not even that bad. It's kind of weird. Maybe I'll review it for the show as a minisode. That might be fun. There's a villain named Kaibo Ren. So I don't know. He's nothing like Kylo Ren at all. Willow from Lucasfilm is getting a series starring Warwick Davis. Willow was a Lucasfilm kind of high fantasy adventure film. I've never seen it. Again, would make a great addition to this podcast someday. And then we can talk about the show after. So that's awesome. This one shocked me. Rogue Squadron, directed by Patty Jenkins, who's the director of the Wonder Woman films, the first Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984 that's coming out this Christmas Day. Oh my God. Rebel fan through and through. Wow, we're getting Rebel like movie, a Rogue Squadron. Nevertheless, like she's related to like a fighter pilot, and so this story is very personal to her, and she wants to make like the coolest dogfight movie of all time, and I'm so down for that. Yes, please. I love X-Wings. Bring it on. I want to see Rogue Squadron blow up some TIE fighters all day, every day. Amazing. Fantastic. Great director. So excited. Of course, there's the Indiana Jones sequel coming. We've known about this, but it's confirmed it's James Mangold directing, who did most recently Ford versus Ferrari, which I didn't see but was nominated for an Oscar, Best Picture. But he also directed Logan, the old man Wolverine story. And if I'm going to get an old man Indiana Jones story, I totally trust this director to do this. He's very talented, especially with this kind of, what do we do with a character when they aren't in their prime anymore, but still tell a very personal, very introspective story while still being adventure-y and fun. Taika Waititi's Stars movie still happening. Taika Waititi did an amazing job in The Mandalorian. He did great directing Thor Ragnarok. Jojo Rabbit is spectacular. If you haven't seen that, go watch Jojo Rabbit, directed by Taika Waititi. I love What We Do in the Shadows. Basically anything Taika Waititi touches, I'm in. And so you put him in front of Star Wars, 100% yes, all day, every day. And then we're getting to Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures Productions. Hocus Pocus 2. I might have to get Tim back in for that one. With a different director, Adam Shankman will direct. So I guess Kenny Ortega's too busy with Descendants 27. So there's a Cheaper by the Dozen reboot. I think that was announced a while ago. There's Three Men and a Baby reboot with Zac Efron. Cool, I guess. I don't know. A Sister Act film with Whoopi Goldberg coming back and Tyler Perry producing. This one, I don't know what to think about it. I genuinely don't know. I loved the show. I love the characters. Chippendale Rescue Rangers, hybrid live-action animated movie, which I'm on board right there. Rescue Rangers, amazing. Bring in the animation. But here's where they lose me and get me back a little bit. John Mulaney and Andy Samberg as Chippendale. Not with Chippendale, not hanging out with Chippendale. They will be playing Chippendale. And I don't know how to feel about this. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to voice actors for animation, and I always feel, especially if you're doing it animated, you're not making it live action, I always feel it's respectful and the continuity is there, that if you can get the voice actors who are doing it for everything else to do it, why not? Like Scoob, when they didn't bring back Frank Welker or Gray Delisle Griffin or Matthew Lillard, like the current voice actors. Like, I'm on board with the idea. John Mulaney and Andy Samberg are both very funny and very talented. Both have done animation before. This isn't their first romp into it. John Mulaney was fantastic as Spider-Ham in Into the Spider-Verse. Andy Samberg hanging out with Dracula, that was Adam Sandler in Hotel Transylvania. Maybe he did other animated movies. I'm just kind of blanking right now. A Pinocchio movie directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring Tom Hanks. Peter Pan and Wendy, starring Jude Law as Captain Hook, and forgive me for butchering this completely, Yara Shahidi, who I'm not super familiar with. Apparently she's on Blackish, the ABC sitcom. And Jude Law, I think, is a good match for Captain Hook. Yeah, Peter Pan's always been my favorite character. I'm always down for more Peter Pan. It's been reimagined a trillion times, so, just why stop now? Disenchanted, this one surprised me, even though it's kind of been in talks for a while. Now it's official. A sequel to Enchanted, with Amy Adams set to return as Giselle. Disenchanted, amazing. This film deserved a sequel. Amy Adams is wonderful. The music's so good. The story, everything. It's a great play on Disney movies while still being a great Disney movie in and of itself. I'm all in. Greek Freak, about an NBA star. Don't really know much about that. A Diary of a Wimpy Kid animated film's coming. 20th Century Studios, which was 20th Century Fox, now 20th Century Studios, are making their own animated movies. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. There's going to be a new Ice Age, Ninth Museum. I enjoy some of the things from some of these properties, but yeah, not really my thing. Also, Jungle Cruise still happening. A Cruella DeVille prequel's happening with Emma Stone. That's been known for a while. A prequel to The Lion King is coming from the director of Moonlight. Again, that was announced a while ago. I didn't love the live-action Lion King at all. It might be one of my least favorite of the Disney live-actions. Immense talent. Jon Favreau is one of my favorite directors, but I don't know. I don't know what happened there. All the pieces were there, just didn't quite come together in any capacity. The Little Mermaid, we've known about this. The announcement for that surprised me was Daveed Diggs playing Sebastian. If nothing else, I do want to hear that. I want to hear him do Under the Sea, Kiss the Girl. I think he's going to be fantastic as Sebastian. Really, the only part of the cast I'm iffy on is Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. I'm not like a Melissa McCarthy hater, like, oh my god, she's horrible and everything. I really haven't seen her in that much, honestly. I just could have gone to someone a little more boisterous. I know people have thrown around the idea of having Ursula played by an actual drag queen, because that's what Ursula's based off of in the first place. I think that would be a great idea. Or maybe just like a bigger, like more personality, like a Kathy Bates. Like, that's more of an Ursula to me than Melissa McCarthy. Ran the Last Dragon will premiere on Disney Plus, obviously with the premiere access like they did for Mulan. At the same time, they're playing it out in theaters in March. Awesome. This looks amazing. Encanto, which we've kind of known about, but not really for a little bit. We knew Lin-Manuel Miranda was working on a film for Disney writing music. So this is that film. We don't really know too much about it, but that sounds great. It takes place in Colombia. It says where a magical family live in a magical home. We haven't really seen Disney tap into that side of the world yet, so more variety, more types of stories is always a welcome thing. Now, here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people will realize the significance of, and I want to stress this. Disney Animation has never created a television show. Ever, ever, ever. They've only done films. They've never touched TV. TV shows have always been a totally separate company, a separate studio. Still Disney, but not Disney Animation itself. Disney Animation has announced their first 4 television series: Baymax, Zootopia Plus, Tiana, and Moana the series, as well as a brand new one, Iwaju. It's going to be a collaboration with a Pan-African comic book entertainment company. This is groundbreaking. Normally, if you make like Hercules, the animated series, because that's Toon Studios, Disney doesn't ever have to adhere to that as canon, because it's not them making it. So if Disney were to go around and make Hercules 2, they can essentially ignore anything set up in those television episodes. We've seen this happen in the Little Mermaid TV show. We see how Ariel meets Flounder. Well, then, later, another company wanted to create The Little Mermaid, Ariel's beginning, and they disregarded it, and there was conflicting stories of how she met Flounder. Granted, I'm probably the only person on the planet who knows this or cares, but what's groundbreaking about these shows is, given that they're made by Disney Animation, all canon has to adhere to what happens here. Wreck-It Ralph and then Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, that's all canon. That's all connected. It all has to adhere to each other. Disney parks now have to adhere to that canon and that story. So, Baymax, Zootopia, Tiana, Moana now will have extended stories that if we ever get meet and greets again, if you go to meet Tiana, that will be part of her story. That will be canon for her. Same way that if Disney Studios makes a Frozen short, Snow Geese are now canon for Anna and Elsa. Even if they weren't presented in a movie, because it was created by that studio. You know, Rapunzel doesn't have to talk about Tangled the series because it's not connected to her. It's not the same studio. So that's why this is so important. Pixar is doing a film called Win or Lose. No, I'm sorry, a television show called Win or Lose. It'll be their first television show. Follows a middle school softball team in the week leading up to their championship game, and each episode's told from the perspective of a different character. That sounds so good. I love that so much. Pixar's always doing stuff outside the box. Turning Red, which is about a girl who, when she gets too excited, she turns into a giant red panda. That sounds hilarious, like a twist on the Hulk story. I'm not quite sure what the full narrative will be for that, but I trust Pixar. Do it. Amazing. Lightyear, the definitive origin story of the hero that inspired the toy Buzz Lightyear, with Chris Evans voicing Buzz Lightyear. And they released a still from this of a picture of the real Buzz Lightyear. And I'm wondering if in this universe, because again, they don't have to adhere to this because it's a different studio, but they did establish that the Buzz Lightyear Adventures Star Command film and series were the show that Andy would watch, and that's what inspired the toy. But now we're getting information that this is a real guy, and the toy's off a real guy, like if you're getting a Hulk Hogan toy. I don't know why it's the first thing that popped to mind of a real person you would get a toy of, but sure, yeah, Hulk Hogan. So is he supposed to be like a Buzz Aldrin kind of a thing, like a real astronaut who would go on these adventures? I'm not quite sure I understand where they're going with this, but hey, we'll see. Luca, slated for theaters next summer. Boy Luca and his best friend Alberto during their unforgettable summer is the only info we have on that. Some Pixar TV shows. The two of note, Doug Days, which is about Doug from Up. We're going to get a little more of his adventures. That sounds great. And a Cars television series. That franchise is one of the highest grossing franchises of all time. It is never going to end. It's never going to die. I like half of the Cars universe because I like Cars 1. I'm not a huge fan of Cars 2, but then again, I haven't really seen it in a very long time. And I kind of liked Cars 3. I didn't love it, but I was okay with it. It wasn't like a bad film. It just didn't grab me. But I love Cars Land at DCA, so more Cars, fine. You know, people like it, cool. We haven't even touched Marvel yet. Oh my god, there's still so much. Secret Invasion, a Samuel L. Jackson show with Ben Mendelsohn coming back to play the Skrull character he played in Captain Marvel. Those two are awesome. It's probably going to be based on the whole Skrull invasion storyline from Marvel Comics, where who's a Skrull? Is anyone a Skrull? Someone might be a Skrull in disguise. This is going to be nonsense if you are not caught up in Marvel stuff. Ironheart, which is a very new comic book character from what I understand, who's kind of like a successor to Iron Man in a way, but she didn't like get her tech from him. I believe she created it herself, that she has the most advanced technology outside of Tony Stark, and she's like a girl, Dominic Thorne. Cool. I'm all in. Armor Wars with Don Cheadle as James Rhodes, aka War Machine, and that show's going to be about what happens when Tony Stark's technology falls into the wrong hands. The same plot of Iron Man 2 or Age of Ultron. No, War Machine has never been my favorite character, but I actually kind of disliked him. I mean, the actors did a good job. It's just the character themselves. I kind of disliked through Civil War, but I really loved the type of character they were in Infinity War and Endgame. I really started to appreciate War Machine. So more stuff, great. WandaVision, of course, coming out. Falcon Winter Soldier that we know about. Loki, that's not new. Looks good. What If, which looks good. Ms. Marvel, we already know about. Most of these were already announced beforehand. Hawkeye, She-Hulk. Moon Knight, I think was already announced. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which sounds so good. I'm so excited for that. With shorts, I Am Groot shorts coming out soon as well. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I'm so glad we're getting more Ant-Man movies. I know they're like the least financially successful out of all the MCU, but I just love Paul Rudd's Ant-Man so much. I feel like it's probably the character I am most similar to in real life. I don't know if that translates over the microphone, but I really appreciate that character and everything he has going on. A Fantastic Four movie, that's a big deal with John Watts directing, who directed Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. He did a great job with those movies. I know a lot of people want John Krasinski and Emily Blunt to star in Fantastic Four. That's been a big fan casting for a while, so we shall see. And then, again, more things we already had announced. Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, Eternals, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Love and Thunder, Black Panther 2, Blade, Captain Marvel 2, Guardians 3. These are all things that they've announced previously. But boy, what a whole bunch of stuff. Good news, guys, this podcast is never going to end because things are going to just keep coming out. There's quite a lot in there that directly connect to things I want to do in the future, things I've already done. So I'm going to get the ball rolling on some of those. Hopefully I can do episodes that correlate. Maybe I'll hold off on Willow until the Willow show starts coming out and things of that nature. But thank you for listening to me drone on for a little bit about the announcements and my thoughts on them, or maybe a few things you didn't know. Hopefully you learned something here. I know a lot of nonsense, so I like to spew it every once in a while. We'll be back with more regular episodes probably this week, actually, because, Christmas is fast approaching, and so I need to pump out a few of those Christmas time reviews. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. And until next time, bye-bye.